Behind the flashing lights of TLC's hit show 90 Day Fiancé, there was a story no one knew. A story that never made it to the cameras. A story of secrets, sacrifice, and a love so powerful it changed everything. Liz Woods, the woman viewers thought they knew, was hiding something extraordinary. For years, while fans dissected her every move on reality TV, she carried a truth so fragile it could never be exposed. She had been in love with a man named Zach, a young Australian who lived far beyond the reach of TLC's cameras. Yes, you heard that right. Liz Woods had secretly been in a relationship with a man named Zach for a long time, keeping it hidden from everyone. The turning point of this secret love story came with an agreement. When Liz Woods became entangled in a $250,000 secret debt, Zach, a young man from Australia, bravely stepped forward. He promised to pay off the entire debt, and from that moment, a deep love blossomed between them. As time went on, their relationship grew even stronger. They spent many moments together in luxurious 5-star hotel rooms. Finally, the two decided to marry. Their wedding is set to take place upcoming 10th December 2025. After the wedding, Liz Woods will leave the United States permanently to live in Australia with Zach. This means that Liz Woods will no longer appear on TLC's popular reality show, 90 Day Fiancé. This is not just another celebrity romance. This is the hidden chapter of Liz Woods' life, the chapter that reveals who she truly is when the cameras are gone. Welcome to the untold story of Liz Woods, her secret love, her biggest battle, and her new beginning. When fans first met Liz Woods on 90 Day Fiancé, she appeared as a single mom with a soft smile and quiet heart. To viewers, she was the woman who never stopped giving love another chance. But behind the cameras, Liz carried a secret life no one knew about. On screen, she was the relatable face of heartbreak and second chances. Off-screen, she was protecting herself from the chaos of fame. Years of public judgment taught her to hide the most precious parts of her life. Love, she realized, couldn't survive under the spotlight. It needed to be hidden. That's when she met Zach. He wasn't famous, wasn't part of the show, and maybe that's why Liz fell for him. With Zach, she found something private, raw, and real. But to keep him safe, she built a wall of secrecy. Excuses like late filming or work became her cover, while in truth she was making memories with him. Living a double life came with guilt, but Liz believed Zach was worth every lie. Yet, even in this secret world, trouble followed her, because behind her smile was a storm. One that would soon test their love through a financial crisis that changed everything. Before Liz Woods' secret life became entangled with his, Zach was just a young man from Australia, unknown to fame, yet carrying a quiet strength that would one day change her world. He grew up in a simple town by the ocean, where honesty mattered more than appearances. Unlike the men Liz met on 90 Day Fiancé, Zach wasn't chasing cameras or attention. He worked hard, lived humbly, and earned everything on his own. People knew him as the man who would give the shirt off his back to help someone in need. When Liz first met him, she didn't expect much. He wasn't flashy or famous, but his authenticity captured her heart. With Zach, she didn't have to perform for an audience. She could simply be Liz. Their bond began with quiet conversations, where Zach listened without judgment and reminded her, "I don't care about the show. I care about you." That simple truth made her feel safe and cherished. And when Liz's hidden struggles grew heavier, Zach's protective side emerged. He wasn't just there to love her in secret. He was ready to fight for her peace. To Liz, Zach became more than a partner. He was the man who stood firm when the storm hit. And soon, he would make a sacrifice so bold, so selfless, that it would forever bind their lives together. Most love stories begin in the open, at parties, in restaurants, on social media. But Liz Woods and Zach's began in silence, hidden from the world and untouched by cameras. With Zach, Liz finally felt peace. No producers, no stage drama, just herself. Yet, that peace came with a price. If their secret slipped out, it would become gossip, and TLC would surely pull it into the spotlight. So from day one, their love was kept in the shadows. They met in quiet cafes, drove under the cover of night, and spent weekends together under the excuse of recharging. At first, Zach struggled to understand the secrecy. But soon, he realized it wasn't shame, it was protection. Liz wasn't hiding him. She was protecting what they had from a world that thrived on tearing her apart. Their secret love grew deeper with every hidden laugh, every whispered dream, every stolen moment. To Liz, Zach wasn't just another chapter. He was becoming the story. But even in secrecy, trouble waited. Because Liz carried a burden too heavy to hide forever, a crushing debt that threatened everything. And when she revealed it to Zach, their love would face a turning point that changed everything. Every secret relationship carries risks, but Liz Woods carried another secret. One that had nothing to do with love, but everything to do with survival. It was the kind of burden that can keep you awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering how everything in your life unraveled so quickly. That burden was debt. Not a few $1,000s. Not something she could manage with credit cards or an extra job. Liz Woods was drowning under a staggering $250,000 secret debt. How did it happen? It wasn't one mistake. It was a chain of them. Some were financial missteps made years earlier. Others were linked to the instability of her relationships, legal fees, unexpected bills, and the relentless costs of trying to maintain appearances while under the spotlight of reality TV. Fame gave her recognition, but it didn't guarantee financial security. And in Liz's case, it drained her even further. Every month, the numbers grew heavier. Interest rates piled up. Phone calls from creditors became routine. And Liz found herself trapped in a cycle she couldn't break. To her fans, she was still smiling on camera. But off camera, she was terrified. She couldn't tell her family. She couldn't tell her friends. And she certainly couldn't tell the world. If her debt became public knowledge, it would become another headline, another scandal for critics to tear apart. Liz's biggest fear wasn't just financial ruin, it was humiliation. For months, she carried this weight alone, even while building her secret relationship with Zach. But the closer they became, the harder it was to keep the truth buried. She would sit across from him at dinner, smiling, laughing, pretending everything was fine. When inside, she was breaking. And then, one night, the dam finally broke. It was late. They were sitting together in Zach's car after a quiet evening. Liz's eyes filled with tears she could no longer hide. Zach, sensing something was deeply wrong, pressed her gently. "What is it, Liz? Talk to me, please." Her voice trembled as she whispered the truth. "I'm in debt, Zach. Not just a little, a lot. $250,000. The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. For a moment, silence swallowed them both. Liz braced herself for the worst, for Zach to pull away, to tell her it was too much, that she was too much. But Zach didn't flinch. Instead, he took her hand and held it firmly. His voice was steady, his eyes unwavering. "Then we'll face it. Together." Liz shook her head. "No, you don't understand. It's not your problem. I don't want to drag you into this." And that was the moment that changed everything. Because Zach looked at her, not with fear, not with pity, but with a quiet resolve that would forever alter their love story. "Liz," he said, "I'm not going to let this destroy you. If it takes me the rest of my life, I'll pay it off. Every single dollar." It was more than a promise. It was a declaration. In that moment, Zach wasn't just a boyfriend. He became a shield, a partner willing to carry the unbearable weight Liz had been hiding alone. For Liz, the tears flowed freely. No one had ever done something like this for her. No one had ever been willing to risk everything, not for fame, not for appearances, but for her. This was the turning point. The night that transformed their hidden romance into something unbreakable. Because from that moment on, Liz knew this wasn't just a secret relationship, it was destiny. For many couples, promises come lightly. "I'll always be here for you," or "I'll never let you down." Sweet words, yes, but words that often fade when tested by real life. But Zach's promise to Liz that night in the car wasn't just words. It was a vow backed by conviction, by action, and by a love so rare it almost felt unreal. When Liz confessed her $250,000 secret debt, she expected rejection. She expected Zach to shake his head, tell her it was too much, and walk away. Instead, what she received was the kind of loyalty that defines a lifetime partnership. Zach didn't just say he would help. He swore he would take on the entire weight himself. "I'll pay it all," he repeated firmly, looking into her tear-streaked face. "I don't care how long it takes. I don't care what I have to sacrifice. I want you free. I want you safe." Liz was stunned. She had been in relationships where love was conditional, where men were more invested in appearances than in her heart. But Zach was different. He wasn't looking for fame, money, or validation. He was offering sacrifice. He was offering a lifeline. At first, Liz resisted. She begged him not to get involved. "This isn't fair to you," she cried. "You don't know how heavy this is. I can't let you destroy your future for my mistakes." But Zach only tightened his grip on her hands. "Liz, listen to me. Love isn't about running when things get hard. Love is about standing together when the storm hits. You've carried this weight alone for too long. Now let me carry it with you." That night marked a shift in their relationship. From then on, Liz didn't just see Zach as her secret partner. She saw him as her protector, her rock. The man who would never abandon her no matter how dark the path became. In the days that followed, Zach began to map out what his promise truly meant. He spoke about working extra hours, taking on new projects, even selling things he owned if he had to. He wasn't naive. He knew paying off such a massive debt wouldn't happen overnight, but he was determined to try. And Liz, for the first time in years, felt something she thought she had lost forever: hope. Every time she looked at Zach, she saw not just a man, but a future. A future without constant phone calls from predators, without sleepless nights haunted by numbers she could never repay. A future where love wasn't conditional, but absolute. It was in those quiet moments, watching Zach plan, watching him reassure her, watching him put her peace of mind before his own, that Liz's love deepened beyond measure. Her heart whispered the truth she could no longer deny. "This is the man I want to spend forever with." And while the world still knew nothing about their love story, Liz understood that Zach's bold promise had sealed their fate. This wasn't just romance. This was destiny. Promises are powerful, but actions are what give them life. After Zach vowed to help Liz shoulder her crushing $250,000 debt, he didn't treat it as just a late-night declaration. He lived it. Day after day, he showed Liz through his choices that his love wasn't conditional. It was enduring, unshakable, and willing to pay any cost. Zach began making quiet sacrifices. He worked longer hours, took on side jobs, and cut back on personal luxuries. Friends noticed he was no longer spending money on things he once enjoyed: trips, hobbies, even small indulgences. When they asked why, Zach only smiled and said, "I've got bigger plans." Few understood, but Liz did. Every sacrifice was for her. Every hour he pushed himself was a step closer to freeing her from the invisible chains that had bound her for so long. Liz watched in awe, her heart swelling with both gratitude and guilt. She had never asked Zach to give up so much, yet he did it willingly, almost eagerly. For him, love wasn't about convenience. It was about commitment. There were moments when Liz broke down, telling him she didn't deserve such devotion. "You shouldn't have to do this for me," she whispered one evening as they sat together in a quiet restaurant corner. Zach looked at her, his expression soft but firm. "Liz, don't you see? I want to do this. Because when you hurt, I hurt. And when you're free, we'll both be free." Those words became her anchor. Every time doubt crept in, she remembered Zach's sacrifice wasn't born out of obligation. It was born out of love. Their relationship, once built on secrecy, now had a foundation of shared struggle. And paradoxically, that struggle made their love stronger than ever. The more Zach sacrificed, the more Liz trusted him. The more he gave, the more she gave in return. They leaned on each other, building a bond few couples ever experience. But it wasn't just about money. Zach's sacrifices extended far beyond finances. He sacrificed his time, his energy, his comfort. so Liz could find moments of peace. On nights when she was overwhelmed with anxiety, he would stay awake with her, holding her hand until she fell asleep. When she doubted her worth, he reminded her of the woman he saw, strong, resilient, and beautiful. Liz, in turn, began to open herself in ways she never had before. For years, she had kept walls up, afraid of letting anyone see the broken parts of her. But with Zach, she tore those walls down, brick by brick. She shared her fears, her regrets, her dreams, and Zach held every piece of her with tenderness. Their love became a story of endurance, not glamorous, not easy, but real. It wasn't the kind of romance written for television, it was deeper than that. And Liz knew, with every sacrifice Zach made, that their love was no longer something she wanted to hide. In secret, they weren't just surviving, they were thriving, and every moment they shared together, from whispered conversations in dimly lit rooms to stolen kisses in quiet corners, reinforced one truth. Sacrifice hadn't weakened their love, it had made it unbreakable. Every couple needs moments of escape, breaths of air away from the noise of daily life. For Liz and Zach, those escapes became the heartbeat of their secret love story. And often, they unfolded in the most unlikely places, behind the golden doors of luxurious five-star hotel rooms. It wasn't about glamour or showing off. In fact, no one knew. They didn't post photos, didn't brag about champagne dinners, didn't make it a spectacle. For them, these moments were more than indulgence, they were sanctuary. Inside those hotel suites, the outside world simply didn't exist. The cameras of TLC, the judgmental comments on social media, the creditors calling Liz's phone, the burden of her debt, the secrecy they carried, it all melted away once they closed the door behind them. There, in those rooms filled with soft lighting and velvet curtains, Liz and Zach could breathe. They could laugh without fear of being overheard, hold each other without the weight of explanation, and dream of a future where their love wouldn't have to hide. For Liz, who had lived so long under a microscope, these moments were priceless. She didn't have to be the reality TV star. She didn't have to think about her reputation, her storyline, or how she looked under studio lights. She could curl up on the balcony with Zach, watching city lights shimmer like diamonds, and feel like an ordinary woman in love. For Zach, these escapes were about giving Liz the world she deserved. He often planned little surprises, flowers waiting in the room, her favorite wine chilling on the table, music softly playing as she walked in. They weren't grand gestures for anyone else to see. They were quiet acts of devotion, just for her. One evening stands out. It was raining outside, the city streets below slick with reflections of neon signs. Liz and Zach sat by the window, wrapped in hotel robes, sipping wine. Liz rested her head on his shoulder and whispered, "I wish we could stay like this forever." Zach kissed her forehead. "One day we will, and it won't have to be in secret." That promise became their shared dream. These hotel rooms weren't just escapes. They were rehearsals for the life they hoped to build. A life where they could wake up together without fear, eat breakfast without lies, and walk hand in hand without hiding. And yet, there was always the bittersweet ending. Morning would come, and with it, reality. Liz would slip back into the life everyone expected of her, while Zach faded again into the shadows of secrecy. But each escape made them stronger. Each stolen moment stitched their hearts closer together. The five-star hotels were more than places of luxury. They were their world between worlds, the bridge between a hidden present and the open future they longed for. And slowly, with every whispered promise, Liz and Zach began to realize they couldn't live in secret forever. A decision had to be made. For Liz and Zach, secrecy was both a shield and a prison. On one hand, it protected their love from the scrutiny of the public eye. On the other, it forced them to live like shadows, always cautious, always alert, always one step away from being discovered. Every day was a balancing act. Liz had to carefully manage her time, her words, and even her body language when she was in front of others. A simple smile at the wrong moment, a text seen by the wrong person, or an unexplained absence could ignite rumors that spread faster than truth. The hardest part wasn't hiding from fans. It was hiding from people close to her. Friends would ask, "Are you seeing anyone?" Liz would laugh it off and shake her head, though her heart screamed the truth. Producers at TLC would press her for updates on her love life, fishing for juicy storylines. Liz had to invent excuses, half-truths, and sometimes outright lies just to keep Zach out of their reach. For Zach, the secrecy was harder in different ways. He wasn't used to living a life where every move could spark headlines. He didn't grow up in the glare of cameras, and sometimes he struggled to understand why Liz was so guarded, but he loved her enough to adapt. He learned to accept that their dates had to be private, their photos had to remain hidden, and their relationship couldn't be shared online. Still, the strain was real. There were moments Liz wished she could simply hold Zach's hand in public, introduce him to her friends, or post a simple picture captioned "My love." But each time she thought about it, she imagined the chaos it would cause. Tabloids spinning stories, fans dissecting every detail, and TLC executives demanding she turn her private life into a reality TV plotline. And so, she kept silent. But secrecy has a way of taking its toll. The lies piled up like bricks, and each one made the wall around their relationship taller. Sometimes, Liz felt suffocated by the weight of all she was hiding. At night, lying next to Zach, she would whisper, "I hate this. I hate that we can't just be normal." Zach would kiss her gently and answer, "One day, we won't have to hide anymore. I promise." Despite the difficulties, their love survived because it was built on trust. They trusted each other completely. Liz knew Zach wouldn't betray her confidence. Zach knew Liz's secrecy wasn't about shame. It was about protection. But as time went on, both began to feel the same truth pressing down on them. They couldn't live like this forever. The world of secrets was safe, yes, but it was also lonely. And sooner or later, they would have to choose between staying hidden or stepping into the light. That choice became clearer when their whispered dreams turned into real plans. A future together, marriage, and a life far from the cameras. And it was in those quiet conversations about tomorrow that their destiny began to take shape. Every love story reaches a point where daydreams transform into decisions. For Liz and Zach, that moment came quietly, not with fireworks, not with dramatic declarations, but in soft conversations late at night, when the world outside their door fell silent. It often started with a simple question. Liz would ask, "What do you think our life could look like if it were just us?" Zach would smile, his eyes steady, and reply, "It would look like peace." Peace. That was the word Liz longed for. After years of public battles, televised breakups, and emotional chaos played out for millions to see, she was tired. Tired of being a storyline. Tired of being judged. Tired of never knowing if the people around her cared for Liz, the woman, or Liz, the TV character. With Zach, she found the courage to imagine something better. They began talking seriously about marriage, about leaving the shadows behind, not in the sense of exposing their relationship to the world, but in the sense of no longer hiding from themselves. Zach would often describe life in Australia, the coastal towns, the slower pace, the way people valued privacy. He painted pictures with his words of waking up in a small house near the ocean, of quiet walks by the beach at sunset, of building a family without cameras documenting every step. For Liz, it sounded like freedom. The idea of moving across the world was terrifying, but also intoxicating. It would mean leaving behind everything she had ever known. Her country, her career, even the show that had made her name known. But it would also mean leaving behind the scrutiny, the gossip, and the pain. One evening, as they sat curled up together in a dimly lit hotel room, Zach spoke the words that crystallized everything. "Liz, we've hidden long enough. We survived storms. We've proven we're stronger together. So why not build something permanent? Let's get married. Let's make it official." Liz's heart raced. She had dreamed of those words, but hearing them out loud made everything feel real. Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, "Are you sure? This would change everything." Zach smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. I've never been more sure of anything. I don't want to just love you in secret. I want to love you in the open, as my wife." In that moment, Liz felt a weight lift off her shoulders. For the first time, she wasn't just imagining a better life, she was planning it. Together, they began discussing wedding ideas, possible dates, and even the logistics of her move to Australia. The secrecy that once defined their relationship began to feel less like a burden and more like a temporary stage before the next chapter, a chapter filled with permanence, vows, and freedom. For Liz, the thought of walking away from 90-day Fiancé was bittersweet. It had given her fame, recognition, and experiences she would never forget. But deep down, she knew her true story was no longer meant for television. It was meant for her heart. And so, the plans began. Plans not just for a wedding, but for a new life. A life far from cameras. A life built on love, sacrifice, and hope. A life together, forever. Every love story has a defining moment, the one that shifts dreams into reality. For Liz and Zach, that moment arrived not with the extravagance of television romance, but with the purity of something deeply real, a quiet proposal that spoke louder than any grand gesture ever could. Zach had been planning it for weeks. Unlike the staged engagements Liz had seen on TV, he didn't want spotlights, cameras, or choreographed perfection. He wanted intimacy, truth, a proposal that reflected the way their love had always existed, secret, quiet, and deeply meaningful. The setting was simple, yet unforgettable. Zach chose one of their favorite hideaways, a coastal cliff overlooking the ocean. It wasn't fancy. There were no photographers waiting in the bushes, just the sound of crashing waves, the scent of salt in the air, and the fading glow of a sunset painting the sky in gold. Liz didn't suspect a thing. They had spent the day walking along the beach, laughing, holding hands, enjoying the rare luxury of being outdoors together without fear of being recognized. As the evening deepened, Zach led her up the trail to the cliff. She thought it was just another quiet escape, until he stopped, took her hands, and looked into her eyes with a seriousness she had never seen before. "Liz," he began, his voice steady but soft, "when I met you, I didn't just fall in love with a woman. I found someone who carried scars, but still chose to love. I found someone who fought battles the world never saw, and yet still kept her heart open. You've trusted me with your deepest fears, your pain, and your dreams. And I want to spend the rest of my life proving that I'll never let you carry those things alone again." Tears welled in Liz's eyes. She covered her mouth, already knowing what was coming, yet completely overwhelmed by the raw honesty in his words. Zach reached into his pocket and pulled out a simple ring. Not an extravagant diamond meant to impress the world, but a delicate band chosen for its meaning. It was timeless, understated, just like their love. Kneeling down, he held it out to her. "Elizabeth Woods, will you marry me?" For a heartbeat, time stopped. The ocean roared below, the wind tugged at her hair, and Liz felt her entire life narrowing to this one moment. A woman who had been hurt, judged, and broken on national television now stood on the edge of a future she never thought possible. "Yes," she whispered through tears, her voice breaking with emotion. "Yes, Zach, 1,000 times, yes." Zach slipped the ring onto her finger, and as he stood, Liz threw her arms around him, burying her face in his chest. For a long time, they stood there, two souls bound together by sacrifice, secrets, and now a promise of forever. It wasn't about diamonds or champagne. It wasn't about impressing an audience. It was about love, real, raw, and unfiltered. For Liz, that proposal wasn't just an answer to a question. It was a release from her fears, her past, and her doubts. It was the moment she finally allowed herself to believe, "This is my future, this is my home, this is my forever." And with that single yes, the path to their wedding and their new life was set in motion. The proposal had changed everything. For weeks afterward, Liz couldn't stop looking at the ring on her finger. Every time the light caught it, she felt a rush of emotions, joy, relief, and even fear. Because while saying yes to Zach was the easiest decision of her heart, Saying yes to the life that came with it was far more complicated. She wasn't just agreeing to become Zach's wife. She was agreeing to leave behind everything she had ever known. For years, Liz had lived in the world of 90 Day Fiancé. The cameras had followed her tears, her arguments, her fragile attempts at love. Fame had given her recognition, but it had also taken pieces of her soul. To step into this new chapter with Zach, Liz knew she would have to let go of that world entirely. It wasn't an easy thought. TLC had become part of her identity. Fans across the globe knew her face, her voice, her story. Walking away meant closing the door on all of that, on the contracts, the appearances, and the financial stability that came with the show. It also meant facing backlash. Fans would question her choices. Critics would gossip. Headlines would scream about her departure. But when Liz weighed the options, the truth was clear. Love was worth more than fame. Zach wasn't asking her to choose between him and her career. He never pressured her. In fact, he told her more than once, "If you want to stay, I'll stand by you. But if you want peace, I'll build it with you." That freedom, to choose for herself, was exactly what made her decision so powerful. One night, as they sat together in the quiet of Zach's apartment, Liz finally spoke the words aloud. "I'm done, Zach. Done with the cameras, done with the drama. I want a life with you. Not a storyline, but real life." Zach smiled, pulling her into his arms. "Then that's what we'll build." From that moment, the decision was sealed. They would marry not as reality TV characters, but as two people who had fought through secrecy, sacrifice, and storms to find each other. Liz would leave the United States. She would move to Australia, and she would walk away from 90 Day Fiancé forever. It wasn't a goodbye filled with regret. It was a goodbye filled with strength. Liz finally realized that her greatest story wasn't one produced for television. It was the one she was writing with Zach, page by page, hand in hand. The decision wasn't just about love. It was about freedom. And for Liz, freedom was the most beautiful gift Zach had ever given her. Once the decision was made, the countdown began. December 10, 2025. For Liz and Zach, it wasn't just a wedding date. It was the start of a new life. But unlike most couples, their planning had to be done in secrecy. There were no bridal showers, no public celebrations, no social media posts. Liz wanted a wedding that reflected their journey, simple, intimate, and real. The venue, a quiet garden lit with fairy lights, hidden from the world. The guest list, only those they trusted completely. Secrecy made everything harder. Dresses ordered quietly, invitations delivered by hand, vendors sworn to silence. Some nights, Liz broke down under the pressure, whispering, "Why can't we just have a normal wedding?" Zach's reply was steady, "Because we don't have a normal love, but that's what makes it ours." Together, they built something beautiful, an intimate ceremony with love at its core. No cameras, no stage drama, only vows whispered under soft lights. Every step reminded Liz how far she'd come. No longer a storyline for TV, but a woman stepping into freedom and true love. As the day drew closer, excitement grew. Risks remained, but Liz and Zach were ready. Their love, tested in secrecy and sacrifice, was about to shine openly, for the first time and forever. Liz found herself walking through a bittersweet haze. Every day felt heavier, more significant, as if she were living in the final pages of one chapter and preparing to turn the first page of another. For years, America had been her home, the place where she had raised her daughter, built friendships, and become a household name through 90 Day Fiancé. But now, it was also the place that had witnessed her heartbreaks, her public struggles, and her private pain. The decision to leave wasn't just about geography, it was about identity. Liz wasn't just leaving the United States, she was leaving Liz Woods, the reality TV star. In her place would be a woman who chose love, privacy, and freedom over fame. Her final days in the US were filled with quiet goodbyes. She visited the cafe where she used to spend long mornings sipping coffee, lost in thought. She walked through familiar streets, remembering moments when her life had felt so different. She even drove past the TLC studios one last time, staring at the building that had given her recognition but also taken so much of her peace. Friends noticed the shift in her. Some asked questions, sensing she was preparing for something big. Liz answered gently but vaguely, never revealing the full truth. Only her closest confidants knew about the wedding and her move to Australia. Even then, she swore them to silence. At night, Liz packed her belongings carefully, each item a reminder of her journey. She didn't want to take much, just the essentials and the pieces of her life that carried meaning. Everything else, she was ready to leave behind. But the hardest goodbye was yet to come, saying farewell to the life she had built for her daughter in America. Liz knew that uprooting meant challenges, but she believed wholeheartedly that Zach would give them a future brighter than anything she could offer alone. Still, the thought of leaving her daughter's familiar surroundings weighed on her heart. During those last days, Zach became her anchor. He reminded her why they were doing this, why every sacrifice was worth it. He spoke often of Australia, the fresh start, the quiet mornings, the ocean breeze that would greet them every day. He reminded Liz that she wasn't running away, she was running towards something better. And deep down, Liz knew he was right. Her last night in the US before the wedding was filled with reflection. She sat by the window, looking out at the city lights, whispering a silent farewell. She wasn't bitter, she wasn't angry. She was grateful for the lessons, the memories, and the strength she had built here. But she was ready to let it go. Because on December 10th, she wouldn't just marry Zach. She would leave behind her old life and step fully into a new one. And with every heartbeat, the United States became less of her story, and Australia, with Zach, became her future. When the final vows were spoken and the last candle at their wedding had burned low, Liz Wood's world shifted forever. She was no longer just Liz from 90 Day Fiancé. She was Liz, wife of Zach, ready to embark on a journey that would carry her across the ocean into an entirely new life. Australia welcomed her not with flashing cameras or headlines, but with something far more precious: peace. For the first time in years, Liz could walk through an airport without being recognized, without whispers following her steps. She held Zach's hand as they landed in Sydney, her heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. The city stretched out before her, alive with energy. But unlike America, it carried no baggage from her past. It was a clean slate. Their first days in Australia felt almost surreal. Liz woke each morning to the sound of ocean waves, sunlight streaming through their window. She would sip coffee with Zach on the balcony, watching surfers in the distance, and think to herself, "This is the life I was meant to live." But the adjustment wasn't just about scenery. It was about rhythm. Gone were the constant phone calls from producers, the demands of filming schedules, the stress of curating her life for an audience. Instead, her days became slower, gentler. Trips to the market, quiet walks along the shore, dinners cooked together in their new home, laughter echoing through rooms that belonged only to them. For Liz's daughter, the change was both daunting and liberating. Moving countries meant new schools, new friends, and new routines. But under Zach's steady presence, the transition felt safe. He treated her with kindness, patience, and the protective warmth of someone who understood that love wasn't just for Liz, it was for her child too. Of course, there were challenges. At times, Liz missed her old friends, the familiarity of her hometown, even the odd comfort of American chaos. But whenever doubt crept in, Zach was there to remind her why they had made this choice. Together, they were building not just a marriage, but a foundation for a future untouched by the noise of the past. Back in the United States, fans eventually learned the truth. Headlines announced Liz's departure from 90 Day Fiancé, sparking shockwaves across social media. Some criticized her, some mourned her exit, but many admired her courage to walk away. Liz, however, barely paid attention. For the first time, the opinions of strangers no longer defined her. In Australia, she found freedom. Freedom to love Zach openly, without fear. Freedom to raise her daughter in peace. Freedom to build a life measured not in ratings or gossip, but in joy, laughter, and trust. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Liz turned to Zach and whispered, "Thank you for saving me, for giving me this life." Zach pulled her close, his arm wrapped around her shoulders. "You don't owe me thanks, Liz. We built this together. And this is only the beginning." And as the waves crashed against the shore, Liz knew he was right. This wasn't the end of her story. It was the beginning of her truest one yet. Every chapter of Liz Wood's life had been lived under two sets of eyes: the people she loved and the millions of strangers who watched her journey unfold on TLC's 90-Day Fiancé. For years, she was a central figure in one of reality TV's most dramatic universes. Her relationships, her struggles, her tears, all of it played out on screens across the globe. But December 10th, 2025, marked more than just a wedding day. It marked the quiet ending of Liz's time in that world. TLC had built a brand around her storylines. They counted on her heartbreaks, her ups and downs, to feed the never-ending cycle of drama that fans craved. For producers, Liz wasn't just a person. She was content. For fans, she wasn't just a woman. She was a character they felt entitled to criticize or cheer for. Now, with Zach by her side, Liz chose something far more valuable than ratings: her peace. When word leaked that Liz would not be returning to the franchise, the reactions were immediate. Social media exploded. Some fans felt betrayed, insisting she owed them more of her life. Others applauded her bravery, saying she deserved to step away from the toxicity of televised relationships. The headlines were everywhere. Liz Woods quits 90-Day Fiancé after surprise wedding. Shocking exit. Liz Woods leaves TLC forever. TLC executives, of course, tried to salvage the situation. They reached out with offers, promises of spin-offs, specials, even a documentary about her move to Australia. But Liz declined every single one. For once, she was making a choice not for ratings, not for money, but for herself. And the freedom was intoxicating. Liz no longer had to relive her most painful moments for the sake of television. She no longer had to answer invasive questions about her love life. She no longer had to fear how producers would edit her story to fit a narrative. Instead, she could live authentically, without fear of the world watching. In interviews, former castmates commented on her departure. Some expressed envy, others admiration. Many said it was the boldest move they had ever seen a cast member make. Because walking away from fame isn't easy, especially when that fame wants to find you. But Liz knew something the world didn't. Fame fades. Love endures. Her exit from 90-Day Fiancé wasn't a retreat. It was a rebirth. She would no longer be Liz Woods, the star of TLC. The end of 90-Day Fiancé was not the end of her story. It was the end of a chapter, a loud, messy, public chapter. And in its place began something quieter, purer, and infinitely more real. For Liz, it wasn't goodbye. It was freedom. Not every love story is meant to play out on television. Some of the most powerful ones happen in silence, far away from cameras, gossip, and the constant noise of the world. Liz and Zach's journey is proof of that. Their story began with secrecy, shaped by fear and protection. It was tested by the weight of a crushing $250,000 debt, the kind of burden that destroys relationships. And yet, instead of breaking them, it bound them tighter. What made their love different wasn't perfection, it was sacrifice. Zach didn't promise Liz luxury or fame. He promised her something far more valuable: to stand by her side when life was at its hardest. And Liz, in return, trusted him with her most fragile truth and gave him her heart completely. From the outside, people might call it reckless. Some might say Liz gave up too much by leaving her country and her career. Others might say Zach took on too much by offering to shoulder her debt. But love has never been about logic, it's about faith. Their story teaches us that real love is not built on appearances, likes, or followers. It isn't measured by grand gestures made for cameras. It is measured by the quiet moments, the whispered promises, the willingness to sacrifice, and the courage to build a future even when the world doubts you. Liz walked away from the fame of 90-Day Fiancé, not because she was weak, but because she was strong enough to choose peace over pressure. Zach stepped into her storm, not because he had to, but because he loved her enough to carry it with her. Together, they proved that true love isn't about avoiding hardship, it's about facing it hand in hand. This love story is a reminder that secrets don't always destroy, sometimes they protect. That sacrifice can be the deepest expression of love. That leaving behind a loud world can lead to the quiet life you've always dreamed of. Liz and Zach's journey may never be broadcast on TLC, but maybe that's exactly why it matters. It is real, it is raw, it is theirs. And as their wedding day turned into the first day of forever, their story left behind a lesson for all of us. Love is not about being seen by the world. Love is about being seen by one person, fully, truly, and without fear. More update. 90-Day Fiancé. Liz Woods opens up about her health battle in new season, spreads awareness about ovarian cancer. Liz Woods had a miscarriage after her ex Jason cheated on her during HEA filming. Shocking truth revealed. Liz Woods gets engaged to mystery man after welcoming new baby and cancer diagnosis. Did Liz Woods scam older man for $260,000? I will explain everything. 90-Day Fiancé. Liz Woods opens up about her health battle in new season, spreads awareness about ovarian cancer. The cancer fight of Liz Woods is receiving more attention thanks to her fame. With her following, she is prepared to recount her adventure. More than a year has passed since the 90-Day Fiancé star began battling the cancer. The newest season of 90-Day Diaries marked Woods' triumphant comeback to television. With her health battle in the rearview mirror, she is prepared to spill the beans to her admirers. For a while now, the reality TV star has fought the illness in silence. After Liz and Big Ed broke up, she removed herself from social media. Her fans were worried and perplexed by her unexpected departure, and they wished her well. A few months down the road, the reality TV star made a triumphant return to social media, leading to speculation that she was fighting a serious illness. At long last, Liz is prepared to take her fans on a voyage. Whose words did she use? Why was this even happening? A number of social media posts by Liz Woods hinted at her health problems. Nonetheless, due to her non-disclosure agreement, she refrained from accepting the news. Something was seriously wrong with the 90-Day Fiancé star when she suddenly started losing weight. When Woods realized her weight reduction wasn't good for her, she made an effort to put on some pounds. She was utterly drained after learning she had ovarian cancer later on. It was revealed that the TLC star is still battling the sickness. Because of her sickness, Woods lost a significant amount of weight and muscle. Because of her treatment, she was constantly fatigued. However, her daughter and other close friends of the reality TV star motivate her to persevere. Her admirers are overjoyed to watch Liz's daughter cheering her on and finding ways to make her laugh at every turn. When it comes to Liz Woods' health, she is prepared to tell her fans anything. Her self-assurance and resilience have been an inspiration to her followers on social media. After a long hiatus, the TLC star is finally returning to television. One more sneak peek at 90-Day Diaries has been released by TLC. It depicts Liz discussing her health issues with her doctor. Her ovarian cancer treatment was something she wished to broach. The TLC performer revealed, "I was diagnosed with stage 1 ovarian cancer a couple of months ago. The announcement of her illness affected Liz emotionally," Liz said. So, she was hoping for some good news, that she won't be sick the whole way, to cheer her up. The celebrity from 90-Day Fiancé has come clean about the fact that sharing this with her viewers will be the most difficult thing she has ever done. Within the caption, Woods expressed her gratitude to numerous friends and co-stars. She thanked Kim Menzies and Tyree Mollett for their support and encouragement. Since her last TV appearance, the reality star has kept a lot of things hidden from her viewers. But Elizabeth did reveal that her co-stars were there for her through thick and thin. "You have known pretty much from day one," she commented. Dear darlings, in the upcoming season, viewers of TLC are hoping to find out more about the star's adventures. They hope that she recovers from her illness and lives a healthy, happy life. Is Liz's path something you can relate to? Leave your thoughts in the space provided. Liz Woods had a miscarriage after her ex Jason cheated on her during HEA filming. Shocking truth revealed. An emotional revelation regarding Liz Woods' journey with ex-boyfriend Jason Zuniga was made public. She came forward about her miscarriage after discovering her partner had been unfaithful. This 90-day Fiancé star is prepared to tell her audience her version of events. Because of the turmoil and her health problems, Liz kept a low profile over the months. She rested at her own pace because she was so busy. After breaking up with Big Ed, the TLC star's life went through a number of twists and turns. Still, Woods persevered and found ways to make her flaws work for her. Now that she has reached this point, she can tell her tale using her own words. In reality, what transpired? Is Liz expecting a baby? How much has she let slip? To learn all there is to know about it, continue reading. Liz Woods is preparing for a triumphant comeback to television. In the current season of 90 Day Diaries, she will discuss her struggles with her health. The heroine of 90 Day Fiancé was shown in a recent teaser talking to her doctor about her health. In it, Liz received the news that she had stage 1 ovarian cancer during a routine doctor's checkup. The emotional toll of learning I had cancer was substantial, she admitted. The TLC actress was hoping for some encouraging news from her physician. On her voyage, Woods hoped she wouldn't get sick. Also, she thinks that would be the most difficult aspect of her trip to share on TV. She expressed her gratitude to Tyree and Kim, who had been her rock and never left her side. After breaking up with Jason Zuniga, Liz Woods chose to remain mum. In season 8 of the HEA, she introduced him following her split from Big Ed. The reality TV actress seemed really upbeat and acknowledged her new relationship. The accusations that Zuniga had cheated on Liz throughout her cancer battle quickly spread. The second one just gave her admirers the inside scoop by posting a new video to Instagram. Big Ed kindly requested that she unblock him when they met at a restaurant. During their heartfelt conversation about their split, the TLC star was merely attempting to brighten her mood. I just found out my ex-Jay cheated on me, and I was bleeding from a miscarriage, Liz stated. What's crazy is not one person filming this season knew. She and Big Ed shot this episode following the tell-all to give it some closure. I would be diagnosed with ovarian cancer 4 months later, the 90 Day Fiancé star revealed, literally the day before filming this. While filming this scene, Woods was coping with the aftermath of her boyfriend's infidelity and her own issues with moving on from her past. But for at least 4 or 5 days, she didn't tell the team about it. She pleaded with Zuniga not to harm her in the same way that Big Ed had on the television. As Ed reached out to her, Liz couldn't help but laugh and turn the page. Her admirers felt terrible that she had to deal with so much all at once. After everything she had been through, they wished for her a happy and healthy life. Liz Woods gets engaged to mystery man after welcoming new baby and cancer diagnosis. After coming up about her battle with stomach cancer and the arrival of her new baby, 90 Day Fiancé star Liz Woods recently got engaged in a magical ceremony to an unidentified man. Sandigan Liz made her acting debut as Big Ed Brown's fiancé in the pilot season of The Single Life. Because of their 15-plus breakups, Liz and Big Ed's relationship became one of the most contentious on 90 Day Fiancé. Big Ed's decision to back out of their wedding forced Liz to ultimately walk away. After Liz's first 2 marriages ended in divorce, he was going to become her 3rd spouse. After Big Ed, Liz and Jason Zuniga were together. After her breakup with Jason became public knowledge in December 2024, Liz began dating again. Her new suitor has proposed, and she is now engaged. With the description, Liz Woods is engaged, Reddit user Evening Cabinet 8432 published photos of Liz and an unnamed man in a parked hot air balloon. Liz appeared to be staring at him as she showed off her ring to everyone around them, while the man grinned for the camera. A supporter who had seen the most beautiful proposal also included a message of their own. They approached Liz, who they described as so sweet, so nice, but she was under contract and hence refused to discuss her relationship with them. I witnessed the most beautiful proposal tonight, and it's Liz from 90 Day Fiancé. The admirer also said that Liz's fiancé was kind to them. Liz was reportedly given a $3,000 diamond ring and described herself as beyond shocked by the proposal, according to the fan. It was the fan's sincere desire to know if anyone had recorded the proposal. Under the Space Needle Festival was the location in Seattle where it happened. As of August 2023, Big Ed and Liz are no longer together. Her relationship with Jason began in October 2023. When Liz saw Jason running, she took the initiative to approach him. They hit it off since they were both fitness fanatics and single moms. During the 8th season Tell All of Happily Ever After, she introduced him as her lover. Although she appeared to harbor some lingering love for Big Ed, her followers rallied around her as she went on. Because of Jason, Liz relocated to Chicago. Nonetheless, by December 2024, rumors began circulating that Jason had abandoned Liz in favor of his baby mom. Finally, Liz broke the news that she had cancer. While she was undergoing chemotherapy, rumors circulated that Jason was unsupportive. Liz began dropping hints about a new man shortly after. Photos and videos of the two of them holding hands have been circulated online. Liz called herself his passenger princess in April 2025. Her baby, a rescue dog, quickly became an integral part of her family. As Liz fights back from stomach cancer, she appears to have finally found some calm in her often tumultuous existence. Maybe Liz will be able to keep her romance going this time. During her time with Jason, Liz was last seen on season 8 of 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After, and then again on 90 Day Diaries. She wishes to remain anonymous since she may be filming a spin-off with her new boyfriend. Following this pattern with Jason was Liz's strategy for making Big Ed envious, and she even brought him to the tell-all. While Liz swiftly moved on from 2 bad marriages and 2 disastrous on-screen relationships, fans of 90 Day Fiancé have voiced their concerns about her. Did Liz Wood scam older man for $260,000? After all that Liz Woods went through with Big Ed Brown, many viewers of 90 Day Fiancé felt bad for her, questioning if Liz conned a man out of $260,000 using her cunning methods is based on the rumor mill. So, where does this stand at the moment? Liz Woods was fast to place the blame on Big Ed for most of her difficulties, despite the fact that he is not a Boy Scout and has a history of questionable behavior. They had the most poisonous romance in the history of the series. In the time following her ultimate breakup with Big Ed, viewers of 90 Day Fiancé have followed Liz Wood's every move. She seemed to have made a complete turnaround, losing weight, and seems happier than before. Nevertheless, with all the rumors swirling around Liz's recent position, it appears that she might not be completely blameless after all. Danny, according to the most recent 90 Day Fiancé gossip, accuses Liz of bilking him out of $260,000. According to blogger John Yates, who recently accessed the man's Facebook site, he proudly displays Liz as his profile cover photo. In addition to the vlogger, Liz Woods denied on the broadcast that she conned Danny. It seems like Danny might be a huge admirer at first sight, but there's more to this than meets the eye. Liz may have played this older man for a fool though. That's the flip side of the coin. A lot of the plots in 90 Day Fiancé revolve around women taking advantage of lonely older men for financial gain. People, however, are presumed innocent unless proven guilty. Danny scammed out of $260,000 that was supposed to go toward a house and a new SUV, according to a social media post he posted. Liz also appeared in cameo videos for Danny. Danny continued by saying that he sent money to a person who was pretending to be Liz's close cousin. This impersonator, this is happening at the same time as Liz, who seems to be living it up on social media, has been posting updates on her life. It is not out of the question that Liz will revert to her victim mentality, given how much she did so while she was with Big Ed. Not even Liz's antics could save Big Ed from the wrath of the fans. Neither does it prove that Liz is innocent of any involvement in this scheme. TLC has a history of including, well, let's just say they aren't exactly the creme de la creme of cast members, but they're a lot of fun to watch. Someone else may have perpetrated the hoax using Liz's likeness. Whatever the case may be, This further complicates the off-camera drama of 90 Day Fiancé, which draws in a large audience. All of this is just speculation at this moment, but if even a small amount of truth is in there, it might shed light on a side of Liz Woods that she deliberately chooses to ignore in her social media story. Despite Big Ed's flaws, Liz's recent accusations cast doubt on her innocence, which 90 Day Fiancé viewers may find hard to believe. Birds of a feather would describe her and Big Ed, who are both competent storytellers. If this is indeed the case, Danny is obviously the greatest sufferer here, so here's hoping he receives justice. No more today. What are you thinking about this gossip today? Let us know in the comments, and stay tuned by subscribing to our channel to get more updates like this. Thank you.